Hey, Court, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be on the CEO Global Network podcast. It's great to see you again. Really appreciate you taking the time to be with us here.
Well, thanks for having me, John. It's always a pleasure talking with you. So I couldn't think of a better time to spend a few minutes with you today. So
Thanks a lot.
thanks.
I really appreciate that. You describe your leadership, Court, as pushing beyond restaurant norms. Can you share with us, one unconventional decision that has really paid off for you and your organization?
Oh, 100% I can. It's something that seems pretty simple and but very uncommon in the restaurant industry. And that was in 2014. We launched a health benefit program for our staff, and so we had about 100 employees at the time. And that was something that was just not existent in the restaurant industry. So we launched it, uh, fully paid health benefits for anybody who's with us for over 2 years, and we backdated that retroactively for anybody who'd been with us that time. An expensive gesture in an industry that margins are quite small, but we saw profit increase, revenue increase, and our actual labor costs decreased because we just kept people around for a lot longer. I think we reduced our turnover by about 45%.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
awesome.
That's a great example. Thanks for that, Court. How is being a B Corp? By the way, congratulations on being a B Corp. That's quite an accomplishment. How has it changed the way you think about success in the hospitality industry?
Yeah, I think it's always been something that we've wanted to accomplish, becoming a B corporation. That was the reason why we put in health benefits. We certified as a B corporation in 2016, and it just gave us a longer term view. And instead of looking for short term profits, we look at what the impact of a lot of long term programs could have just on our people, the environment, our community, and honestly, best thing that we've ever done. It's just a different way of measuring our success. It's beyond money. It's using business as a force for good. And to me, that creates longevity in business. That means we're here to stay. Once you've kind of embedded yourself in the community, you create those emotional connections, people are always there to support you, especially through hard times, which obviously our industry has been through for a number of years now. And we've come out, somewhat successful because of it.
I know that you've made sustainability a real high priority for your business. What's one change, let's say one sustainability change that every restaurant could make tomorrow, Court?
Simple, buy local. Buy local. It's honestly it's such an important piece. There's a whole shift now towards buying things Canadian made. But I think the most important thing is you actually get to know the people who are producing your food. Even a shift to 10% of your purchasing has a huge ripple effect that I don't think people truly recognize the impact it has on the community farms. Those people are going to spend money somewhere else in the community, and someone else is going to in turn come be able to spend it in our restaurants. So just a shift of 10% would have a huge economic impact.
It would have a huge
It
impact.
would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wouldn't it? Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
unbelievable.
The restaurant industry is a $100 billion a year industry. It's about $111 billion a year. So
10%.
with 10%, that goes a long way.
It'd be huge. It'd be huge. How do you keep your team motivated, Court, when your mission is so much bigger than just food and service? I mean, your company is just so much bigger than that, right? Your mission.
Yeah, I think, I'll use the old Simon Sinek language of we got to know our why. And I think that's critical, whether that's around reducing waste, supporting mental health initiatives, or working with some of our Indigenous partners. Ultimately, it's when people see the bigger picture and feel more part of the mission, that's when they bring heart into the job. And I think that's the key of success. If people are working with heart, you don't have to worry about a lot of small stuff. You don't have to put a lot, there's always checks and balances in the industry, but you're focusing on more of the bigger things. And it's amazing how many people will bring forward great ideas when their heart's behind it. And I get a lot of credit for a lot of initiatives that we've launched in the company, but they've all been brought to me by staff. They've all been brought forward.
Isn't that phenomenal, Court, really? I mean, and it's a real credit to you, eh? I mean, as the leader of the company, it's a real credit to you because it's the culture that you've developed, isn't it? I mean, and in a world where engagement of employees is like at the 33%, 30% level,
Yeah,
your engagement level with your team, your people is very, is huge, isn't it?
it's critical. It is. Yeah, you have to be engaged. You have to listen, and you've got to really adapt to what's going on.
Adapt. Well, it's a real credit to you, Court. That's a great point. What is something that you've learned from the community? I mean, I know you're so involved with the community. What is something that you've learned? Can you give us an example that has really shaped your company's direction?
It's a tough one because when I started in this business, so my father started this company. It was all about supporting local and it was all around the environment. And the biggest thing I've learned over the 20 plus years that I've been in this business is that communities needs change. So what was relevant 10 years ago might not be relevant now. And so, we ultimately were focusing on environmental issues. We're tree planting, we're cleaning up river systems. Then we migrated to more health benefit focused initiatives. And now we're looking at our community and people can't afford to eat food. So we're now focusing a lot on food security. And all those pieces, they all work together. It's not like we've lost sight. We haven't lost sight of the other things, but we've just adapted to what the community needs. And it's amazing. Sometimes I forget all the different programs that we run in the restaurant, but you've got to change. I think every leader needs to know that things change, and you need to adapt. You need to adapt.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to adapt. You got to be flexible, right? And go with what the community is looking for, right? What's so important in the community. One last question.
Sure.
Or the question really zeroes in on from running pubs to mentoring industry leaders, which you've done and do. What is the biggest mindset shift that you've made along the way in your journey, in your career so far? What's the biggest mindset shift that you've made?
Well, it's a shift I'm trying to make, John. I would say
Okay,
the
fair enough.
biggest thing, and it's a serial entrepreneur issue we all have, is that leadership to me meant doing everything myself. Everything had to be perfect and working relentlessly. And I think you need to do that in order to start a business. You have to. Your DNA needs to be all over it. And but it's when you start stepping back is when I really started to see the growth happen in the company. I think that's the biggest thing, biggest shift I've had is to be able to step back. If mistakes are happening, to take ownership on myself for maybe not explaining something properly, and then getting back to it again. And that's where I've seen not just growth in our company, but just growth in the people around me. It's the trust is helping them find their own voice is what has been the biggest shift for me. And it's something I still work on every day. I still, get caught up micromanaging. And I think there's time and place for it, but you've got to step away a bit so not everybody's coming to you for the answers. And when you're being asked less, I think that's a sign that it's working and the company's in good shape.
That's a tremendous mindset shift for all of us to listen to, Court,
Yeah,
because entrepreneurs, CEOs really wrestle with that. That's a big one.
it is something I read about and try to figure it out. Things don't have to be done exactly how you want them to be done.
100%. It's a great message, a great lesson. Court, can't thank you enough for being on the CEO Global Network podcast. Really appreciate you taking the time. Your answers to the questions were so thoughtful, and really appreciate being with us and really thinking through those responses to those questions. It means a lot to us. So thank you very much, Court. Great
Well,
having
thank
you.
you. Thanks, John. I really appreciate the opportunity, and it's always a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah, it's great seeing you too. Thank you. Bye now.
Bye bye.